Yo, what's going on, Shield Squad? Welcome back to another JCTCG video where we talk Pokemon collecting, the market, and just overall making better plays. Let's get to it. So today I want to do something more chill, and I want to go over some of the questions that we ended up getting on some of the videos. All right. So this is going to be more of a talk base, just going to go over and give my opinion. Some of these questions just require more attention, and I'm going to try to make this a series. So if you like an episode like this and you want your question to be featured in a future episode, just leave it down below. Let's get into it. So today we're just going to break down each topic using my investment framework, right? The first question that we have is from C Speedwell06. Do you think vintage cars are the play with the current drop of modern cars? So this is an actual really complex questions, and it's going to require a little bit of in-depth research, right, to get into this one, because my answer to this is yes and no, right? I like to be invested in both. People who are into vintage are legit collectors, right? As we all know, most of the population for those cars have already been established, right? Like, unless you have like a Logan Paul opening and, you know, they end up putting another base set, first edition Charizard, their population is not going any higher, right? So the scarcity comes into play, right? There's lower pops. And for that very reason, most of their cars are going to be really expensive, right? So liquidity comes into play because you have to look for the correct buyer, right? You have to find the correct buyer. And when you have a card that costs $100,000, not many people can afford that, right? So the reason I have on my second keynote here that Modern offers a more upside when bought during weaknesses is because their future gains have not been established yet, right? Like, you're buying a product that is at its lowest, technically, unless you have bots like Ascend the Heroes that is just straight up rent up, right? Like the Elite Trainer bots and or Destined Rivals, right? Like, some of the future gains have maybe been established yet, but if you buy Modern during times of weaknesses, your upside might be higher, right? So when it comes to percentage gains, right? Because I like to look at these things in a percentage gain. Can a card go from 50,000 to 70,000? Yes, okay, that is correct, right? But on that same time frame, if you were to put that same $50,000 on a Modern set, and that Modern set ends up doubling before that other card goes to $70,000 or $80,000, you have indeed outpaced it, right? So with that being said, me personally, I like owning both, right? Instead of just picking and choosing one. If you have a longer mindset that you want to invest, this is not financial advice. Everyone has their own personal goals and their own situation. But me personally, I like to buy, if you want to use the word invest, into Modern sets, given that it potentially has more upside, right? Vintage, on the other hand, will be more of a collector's item. Now, you can make some speculations in certain cars, but most of the gains have already been established unless you have another boom, right? So on my last bullet point, focus on quality and not hype, right? If you're going to buy some of the vintage, you want to make sure that you're not buying during a hype cycle like we just had, right? A lot of these cars have gone up immensely, and you could potentially buy on the top in some of these, which is why vintage has a proven collector base, right? Because if you're just buying for collecting, then you maybe don't really care too much about whether the car goes up and down. But if you are looking to invest, then Modern will be the way to go, right? If we take a look, so here we have one of the first examples. We all know Moonbreon, right? This is the Modern Grail. And the reason I ended up choosing this card, right, is because its current population is about 21,347, right? However, just on eBay itself, we have about 120, right? So the percentage listed it's not that big, right? For 21,000, this percentage listed of Evolving Skies PSA 10s is not that huge, right? So although some of these modern cars have huge populations, it's not like every single seller is not out there selling the card at the same exact time. And these cars are super liquid, right? That means there's always a buyer out there that's willing to pay a certain percentage of the market, right? And the certain percentage typically goes, 15 to 10% of whatever the market value is, which is great. If you're looking to get out of this card, you're fine. This is one of the reasons why my bullet point was don't chase quality and not hype. On the other hand, if you were to go with a vintage grail, like a PSA 10 Shadowless Blastoise, yes, this card here is $50,000, right? So here's my point, that if you are looking to sell this card, you need a buyer that's willing to pay $50,000 or whatever the last comp was, right? A percentage of that. Your buyer pool is extremely limited, right? Like, not everyone has this much cash laying around, and it might also take you longer to sell this card. And this is what sometimes happens, right? That if you are getting desperate, you might just take a huge loss because you want to get out of this, right? So from this very reason, I will say hey, let's get into some of the vintage that you just want to collect. If you have the cash laying around to drop on a $50,000 Blastoise, you go right ahead. It's just gonna take a little more work to get into it. Me personally, I don't have a battle in which is better. I believe vintage and modern both have their own significant lane, and I like to look into both. So let's wrap this up and go into our next question. Speed World of 6. I hope I was able to get into some of the key points as to why I do what I do and answer your question. Our next question is by Danny B271TS. So, shout out Danny. The question is, PC ETBs. I feel like there are no-brainer holds, but most have already 10x. And now, this is not a real question, but just a statement. However, this is very important because it also applies to our current scenario and our current market, right? Scarcity still matters. I know a lot of these PC ETBs have gone insane, right, during this last market run. Like, for example, the 151, right? We'll take a look into it in a little bit. But one of the most important things, and it's my second bullet point that I have here, is that price paid is just as important, right? So if you're looking to buy a PC ETB right now at the current market prices, you are taking a huge risk in comparison to someone who pay either retail, right, or they got in lower, right? The other issue that I see with PC ETBs is that you are not able to build a huge position, right? After, I believe it was after Prismatic Evolutions, you are not able to get sealed case. Although maybe that might be different with Chaos Rising, I'm not entirely sure. And or some of the modern stuff, I'm not sure. I have not looked into the Pokémon Center queue, right? But it is extremely difficult to get into a huge position. On our next bullet points here, we have, right, we're going to compare what I ended up choosing, which was 151 to other opportunities, right? So here we have the one and only Scarlet Violet 151 PC ETB. This had such a massive run, right? During the last year, it's up 78%, 1,200. And the reason I wanted to bring up 151 PC ETB is because of the second bullet point, right? The price paid matters. So if I'm looking currently right now at 12.13, if that's the market price, there are other opportunities that I could compare that to it, right? Like, for example, we're looking into Chaos Rising. For the same exact price, you're able to get 10 of these, right? So it is very important that you do your comparison. when you're looking into buying new other items, right? Like PC ETBs, for example. Another item that you can look into, another opportunity, Power Evolve booster box, right? So in here, you can ask yourself, okay, hey, would I spend $1,200, $1,300 on a PC ETB 151? Would it double, right? That would have to go to $2,400, $2,500. And or you can get Power Evolve that, same time frame, maybe shorter time frame, could just be $1,000 box, right? It has the magic herb going for it. Now, right, this is just the perspective and the mindset that I have when I try to take a look into some of the plays. Another big one right now, same exact price, Prismatic Evolutions Super Premium Collection case, right? These are going for around $1,250. You can literally get Prismatic Evolutions for the same price as one PC ETB, right? So, although PC ETBs are great, they might have potential in the future, right? As a collector's item, if you're looking to invest, I would take a look into other plays that are the similar price range that have better potential in the long run. Okay, so to wrap this one up, risk versus reward, I just went over it. I think as of right now, it's very risky to get into some of those PC ETBs that have gone up immensely when you can have other options out there for the same exact price, right? So I hope I was able to answer your question, Danny, and let's get into the next one. Our last question here is just Mike21939 says, what is your strategy to determine what to sell in your collection and when? So this is a very important question, right? And one of the first things that I like to ask myself is, has my thesis played out, right? You want to make sure that when you're selling, you are in a good position to sell, right? So if you bought a booster box for $200 and it is now $400 and you want to take profits, fine, right? You double your money, that is okay. Now, if you are going to take a loss on this booster box, right? Because remember, you have to sell, and you inquire fees, right? If you're selling on eBay, you are going to inquire a 13.5% fee. If you send it to a cosigner, you might get better rates if the item is over $1,000. However, you have to ask yourself, has my thesis played out, right? Next, what are you going to do with your money, right? So on the second bullet point, can this capital work harder somewhere else? Right? If you're going to take an L on an item, right? You're taking your 13%, 15% maybe after shipping fees, but you have a strong conviction that the next item you're going to put your money on is going to, I don't know, go up 50%, right? So that might be a reason to sell that item, right? Third bullet point, very important. Am I holding this because of emotion, right? So as we all know, we all have biases. We all get attached to our collection and or investments, and we sometimes just don't want to sell, right? So if you have what could be life-changing money, or you could look into somewhere else to put your money into, investments, vacations, that, it is always a reason to ask yourself, hey, is this an emotional investment, or I just like it, and or my money could work somewhere else, right? So last but not least, it is always important to know that selling is capital allocation, and it's not a failure, right? You have to learn when to sell. You have to learn why you're selling it, which I hope I was able to ask some of the theses behind my reasoning. And what are you doing with that money, right? Is that money specifically tied up to your collection / business? Are those funds separate from your personal money? Do you need to pay off some debt, and or, right, you're taking your family on vacations? Those are all very good reasons to sell, right? So I hope I was able to answer everyone's question. I want to continue doing this series. Here's a question for you. What Pokemon investments questions should I answer next? If you have anything, comment down below and you might be featured in episode 2 of this series. If you found this video helpful or useful, please leave a comment, like, and subscribe. I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.